General Sunwoo stood on the bridge of the massive warship Unbroken Spirit. Around him, 1,000 human warships filled the darkness of space. They were new ships, built in secret factories on Earth while the rescue mission was happening. Ships designed with one purpose: total war. In front of them, the Vulcan homeworld hung in space like a gray marble. It was covered with cities and factories and military bases. Billions of Vulcans lived there, along with millions of slaves from conquered species. The humans had come. On the planet's surface, High Commander Rothick watched the human fleet on his screens. His 4 hands trembled. This was impossible. The humans were supposed to be weak. The humans were supposed to be primitive. How had they built so many ships so quickly? "They cannot break through our planetary shields," one of his generals said, trying to sound confident. "Our defenses are the strongest in the galaxy." Rothick nodded slowly. Yes, of course. We are safe here. Let them waste their weapons against our shields." But his voice shook. Deep inside, he was afraid. He remembered the human admiral's words from the council meeting. "You know nothing about humans, but you will learn." He was learning now, and the lesson was terrifying. On the Unbroken Spirit, General Sunwoo received a transmission request from the planet. "The High Commander wants to talk," his communications officer said. "Put him through." Rothick's face appeared on the screen. He tried to look powerful and unafraid, but his eyes gave him away. "Human," Rothick said, "you have come far. I will admit, you have impressed us. You have proven that your species is stronger than we believed." Sunwoo said nothing. He just watched and waited. "But this ends now," Rothick continued. "Your fleet cannot break through our shields. Your weapons cannot reach us. You have made your point. Now let us discuss peace. We will pay compensation for the humans we took. We will sign a treaty. We will recognize your territory. Is that all?" Sunwoo asked calmly. Rothick blinked in surprise. "What more do you want?" "I want you to understand something." Sunwoo leaned forward slightly. "We did not come here to negotiate. We did not come here to sign treaties. We came here to teach the galaxy a lesson." "What lesson?" "That if you touch our people, if you hurt our families, if you take our children." Sunwoo's voice was quiet but cold as ice. "There is no corner of the universe where you can hide. There is no shield strong enough to protect you. There is no mercy that will save you." Rothick's face went pale. "You cannot break through our planetary defenses. It is impossible. Watch." Sunwoo ended the transmission. He turned to his tactical officer, a woman named Sujin. "Launch the needles," he ordered. Across the human fleet, small projectiles launched into space. They were tiny things, no bigger than a human finger. Each one was made of the hardest metal humans could create. With a small engine on the back, there were millions of them. They accelerated slowly at first, then faster and faster. The Velthans watched in confusion. What were these tiny objects? They were too small to carry weapons, too small to cause damage. The needles hit the planetary shields at a significant fraction of the speed of light. Physics is a simple thing. Mass times velocity equals force. The needles were small, but they were traveling incredibly fast. When they hit the shields, they carried the force of nuclear bombs. The planetary shields flickered, flashed, overloaded and then they fell. On the surface, Rothick screamed orders that no one could follow. His generals ran in every direction. Panic spread through the cities as people looked up at the sky and saw the shields disappear. The human fleet moved forward. Ground forces. "Prepare for landing." Sunwoo commanded. Transport ships descended toward the planet, carrying thousands of human soldiers. They landed in the capital city, their weapons ready. The Velthan army tried to fight back. They had tanks and walkers and weapons that should have destroyed the humans. But the humans kept coming. They moved through the streets like water, finding every gap in the enemy defenses, striking from every direction. Commander Yuna led one of the assault teams. She fought beside her soldiers, her rifle never stopping. Captain Do-hyun was there too, finally reunited with his sister, fighting to make sure no one else would suffer what she had suffered. Lieutenant Hana led a team straight toward the government building. She thought of Minho with every step. He had given his life so others could live. She would make sure his sacrifice meant something. In his throne room, Rothik watched his empire crumble. His generals had fled or surrendered. His guards had abandoned him. He sat alone on his throne, surrounded by empty halls and silence. The doors burst open. Human soldiers poured in, their weapons pointed at him. And at their head walked General Sunwoo, his face calm and unreadable. "High Commander Rothik," Sunwoo said. "The war is over." "Please," Rothik said, and there was no pride left in his voice. "Please, show mercy. We did not know. We did not understand what humans were. We made a mistake." "A mistake?" Sunwoo walked closer. "You kidnapped 3,000 innocent people. You tortured them. You experimented on them. Over 150 of them died because of you. And you call this a mistake?" "We will pay," Rothik said desperately. "Whatever you want. Gold, technology, planets. We will give you everything." Sunwoo stopped directly in front of the throne. He looked down at the creature who had caused so much suffering. "You were warned," Sunwoo said simply. "Admiral Taemin stood in the council chamber and told you what would happen if you did not return our people. He gave you 10 days. You laughed at him." "I did not know," Rothik whispered. "Ignorance is not an excuse." Sunwoo turned away. "Take him. He will face trial for crimes against humanity. Him and every Velthan who participated in the kidnapping and torture of our people." Soldiers moved forward and pulled Rothik from his throne. He did not resist. He had no strength left. In the days that followed, the Velthan Empire was dismantled. Not destroyed, but broken into pieces. Their fleet was taken. Their military bases were destroyed. Their leaders were put on trial and sentenced to prison for the rest of their lives. The slaves they had taken from other species were freed. Thousands of beings from dozens of worlds walked out of their chains for the first time in generations. They looked at the human soldiers with wonder and gratitude. The Galactic Council watched everything in stunned silence. The species that had laughed at humans now looked at them with fear and respect. Admiral Taemin returned to the council chamber one final time. He stood on the same platform where he had given his warning. But this time, no one laughed. "We did not want this war," Taemin said. "We asked for peace. We gave a chance for diplomacy. That chance was rejected." He looked around the room at the representatives of 500 species. "Let this be a lesson to everyone. Humans are a peaceful species. We want to explore. We want to learn. We want to make friends among the stars. But if anyone threatens our people, if anyone hurts our families," he paused, "there will be no mercy. There will be no clemency. We will pursue you to the ends of the universe. We will tear down your empires. We will free your slaves. And we will make sure you can never hurt anyone again." The chamber was completely silent. "That is all," Taemin said. "We are done here." He turned and walked away. No one tried to stop him. No one said a word. On Earth, the survivors of Nari 7 were welcomed home as heroes. They received medical care, counseling, and all the support they needed to heal. It would take time. The scars, both visible and invisible, would never fully disappear. But they were home. They were safe. They were surrounded by people who loved them. G1 stood on a beach, watching the sunrise with her brother Do-Yun beside her. The water was blue and calm. The sky was painted with orange and pink. It was beautiful. "I thought I would never see this again," she whispered. Do-Yun put his arm around her. "You are home now, and I will never let anyone take you away again." Far above them, in orbit around Earth, the human fleet kept watch. They had learned a hard lesson about the galaxy. It was not a safe place. It was not a kind place. There were species out there who would hurt them if they could, but they had also learned something about themselves. When they stood together, when they fought for each other, when they refused to give up, there was nothing in the universe that could stop them. On a memorial wall near the capital, the names of those who had died were carved into black stone. 153 civilians who never came home. 32 soldiers who gave their lives in the rescue. Minho's name was near the top dot. People came to the wall every day to leave flowers and to remember. They would never forget what had been lost, but they would also never forget what had been gained. The galaxy had a new rule now. It was whispered in every corner of every space station, in every ship, on every world. Never touch humanity. Because if you do, they will come for you. They will hunt you across every star and every planet. They will never stop. They will never forgive, and they will never show mercy to those who hurt their own. The humans had given a warning. The warning was ignored. The galaxy would not make that mistake again. The prison station floated in the darkness of space, far from any sun or planet. It was a cold, ugly place made of gray metal and sharp angles. The Velthans had built it hundreds of years ago to hold their most troublesome captives. Now it held 3,000 humans. Lieutenant Hana studied the station through her ship's sensors. Her small assault ship, the Silent Blade, drifted in the shadow of a nearby asteroid, invisible to Velthan scanners. "I count 40 guards on the outer ring," said Minho, who sat beside her. "Another 100 inside, based on heat signatures. The prisoners are in the central section," added their pilot, a quiet woman named Boyang. "All 3,000 of them, packed into cells meant for 500. Hannah felt her jaw tighten. The Velthans had crammed their people into tiny spaces like animals. "Like cargo. Any warships nearby?" she asked. 3 patrol ships. They pass by the station every 2 hours. We have a window of about 40 minutes once they leave." Hannah nodded. It was not much time, but it would have to be enough. Behind her, in the cargo hold of the small ship, 20 soldiers waited in silence. They were the best special forces operators Earth had ever trained. Each one had volunteered for this mission, knowing they might not come back. "Send the signal to Commander Yuna," Hana said. "Tell her we are in position." The message went out, bouncing through secret channels until it reached the Eternal Dawn, which was hiding 3 star systems away. Yuna received the message and smiled. "The rescue team is ready. Begin the distraction." Far away from the prison station, near the Velthan homeworld, Captain Do-Hyun's fleet appeared from hyperspace. Alarms screamed across Velthan space. Emergency signals flooded every channel. "The humans are attacking the capital." Commanders shouted. Every available Velthan warship rushed to defend the homeworld. The 3 patrol ships near the prison station received orders to join the defense. They jumped away, leaving the station with only its guards. On the Silent Blade, Boyan watched her sensors. "The patrol ships are gone. We have 40 minutes. Then let us not waste a second," Hana said. "Move in." The small ship glided toward the prison station, staying in the shadows, avoiding the few active sensors. They reached an airlock on the lower section of the station, a maintenance entrance that the Velthans rarely used. Minho connected their ship to the airlock and began cutting through the door with a plasma torch. Sparks flew into the vacuum of space, then died instantly. In 3 minutes, the door was open. The team moved inside. The hallways of the prison station were cold and dimly lit. The walls were covered with strange, Velthan symbols and warning signs. The air smelled wrong, like chemicals and something rotten. Hannah led the way, her weapon raised and ready. She moved without sound, like a ghost. Behind her, the soldiers followed in perfect formation. They reached the first guard station. 2 Velthan soldiers sat inside, watching screens that showed empty hallways. They never saw the humans coming. Minho moved first. Despite his large size, he was fast and silent. He grabbed one guard and broke his neck before the alien could make a sound. Hannah dealt with the second one, her blade flashing once in the dim light. 2 down, she whispered. Keep moving. They went deeper into the station. More guards fell, one by one, without raising any alarms. The Velthans had grown lazy and careless. They never expected anyone to attack them this deep in their own territory. Finally, they reached the prison section. A massive door blocked their way, sealed with multiple locks and guarded by 10 soldiers. We cannot do this quietly, Minho said. Then we do it loudly, Hannah replied. She pulled a small device from her belt. Flashbang in 3, 2, 1. She threw the device. It exploded in a burst of blinding light and deafening sound. The Velthan guards stumbled, covering their sensitive eyes and ears. The humans' attack thought it was over in seconds. The guards fell, and the massive door stood unprotected. Open it, Hannah ordered. One of her soldiers, a tech expert named Junho, worked on the lock. His fingers moved quickly over the alien controls. Almost there. Almost. Got it. The door slid open. Behind it was a sight that made every human soldier freeze in horror and rage. Rows and rows of tiny cells stretched into the darkness. Each cell was barely large enough for a person to lie down. And in each cell, humans were packed together, thin and pale and covered in wounds. Some were standing. Some were lying on the cold floor. Some were not moving at all. Dear God, someone whispered. Hannah forced herself to focus. They could feel horror later. Right now, they had a job to do. Start opening cells, she commanded. Move everyone to the extraction point. We have 30 minutes. The soldiers spread out, breaking locks and opening doors. Humans stumbled out of their cells, blinking in the light, unable to believe what they were seeing. Are you from Earth? One woman asked, tears running down her face. Yes, Minho said gently. We are here to take you home. The woman collapsed against him, sobbing. Others did the same. After weeks of torture and hopelessness, rescue had come. It seemed like a dream, but not everyone was able to walk. Many prisoners were too weak or too injured to move on their own. The soldiers carried them, 2 and 3 at a time, moving as fast as they could toward the extraction point. Hannah found herself in front of a cell that held a woman in her 30s. The woman had dark hair and tired eyes, but there was strength in her face. Are you Ji-Won? Hannah asked. Captain Doan's sister? The woman looked up in surprise. You know my brother? He is fighting right now to keep the Velthans busy so we can save you. He never stopped looking for you. Ji-Won's eyes filled with tears. Doan. Hannah helped her to her feet. Come, let us get you home to him. Alarms suddenly screamed throughout the station. Red lights flashed everywhere. They know we are here. Junho shouted. How much time? Hannah asked. 15 minutes until the patrol ships return. Then we move faster. Everyone, double speed. Velthan guards poured into the prison section from every direction. The humans fought back fiercely, protecting the rescued prisoners with their bodies. Soldiers fell, but they kept fighting. For every human that dropped, they took 5 Velthans with them. Minho stood at a choke point, his massive form blocking the hallway. Velthan soldiers fired at him, but he kept fighting. giving the others time to move the prisoners. "Go!" he shouted. "I will hold them." "We do not leave people behind," Hannah shouted back. "Then do not make my sacrifice worthless. Get them out." Hannah hesitated for just a moment. Then she nodded and turned away, leading the prisoners toward the ship. Minho fought on alone. 10 Velthans fell, then 20, then 30. He was wounded again and again, but he did not stop. He could not stop. His people were depending on him. Finally, when he could no longer stand, he pulled out one last device. A bomb. He smiled as the Velthans surrounded him. "You wanted to know what humans are made of?" he said. "Let me show you." The explosion destroyed the entire section of the station. On the silent blade, Hannah heard the blast and closed her eyes for a moment. Then she kept moving. Minho would not want her to stop. The ship was full now, packed with rescued humans. There were 2,847 survivors. Over 150 had died in captivity. Each death was a wound that would never fully heal. "Boyan, get us out of here," Hannah said. The ship launched from the station just as Velthan reinforcements arrived. But they were too late. The silent blade jumped into hyperspace and vanished in the prison section that was still standing. The Velthan commander surveyed the damage. Dead guards everywhere. Empty cells. And the bodies of 15 human soldiers who had given their lives for their people. "They took them all," he said in disbelief. They actually took them all. Far away, Captain Dohyun received a message from the rescue team. His eyes filled with tears when he read the names of the survivors. Ji-won was alive. His sister was alive. "Pull back," he ordered his fleet. "Our mission is complete." The human ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the confused Velthans behind. On the eternal dawn, Commander Yuna welcomed the survivors with open arms. Medical teams rushed to help the wounded. Counselors stood ready to help those with invisible wounds. Food and clean water were given to everyone. "You are safe now," Yuna told them. "You are going home." In the crowd of survivors, Ji-won looked around at the human soldiers, the human ships, the human faces that had come so far to save them. "How?" she asked. "How did you do this?" Yuna smiled. "Because you are family, and humans never abandon family." But the war was not over. The humans had their people back, but the Velthans still needed to answer for what they had done, and General Sunwoo was coming to collect that answer. Captain Dohyun stood on the bridge of the warship Iron Woe, watching the stars blur past as the ship traveled through hyperspace. The journey to Velthan territory would take 3 days. 3 days to prepare. 3 days to plan. 3 days to think about what was coming. He had not slept much. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his sister's face. Ji-won. She had always been the kind one in the family. The one who believed in peace and education and helping others. She had gone to Nari 7 because she wanted to make a difference. Now she was a prisoner, a slave, a test subject. The thought made his hands shake with anger. "Sir," said his navigation officer, a young man named Yeyuk. "We are receiving a transmission from the lead ship." "Put it through." Commander Yuna's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. "Captain Dohyun, our scouts have sent back their first report." "What did they find?" Yuna's jaw tightened. "The Velthans know we are coming. They have gathered a fleet to meet us at the border. Over 2,000 ships." Dohyun felt his stomach drop. 2,000 ships against their 300. The numbers were impossible. "They are laughing at us," Yuna continued. "Our scouts intercepted their communications. The Velthan commanders are treating this as entertainment. They are taking bets on how quickly they will destroy us." "Let them laugh," Dohyun said. "Overconfident enemies make mistakes." "Exactly what I was thinking." Yuna almost smiled. I am sending you the battle plan now. Study it carefully. We are not going to fight them the way they expect. The transmission ended, and Doan's screen filled with maps, charts, and tactical information. He studied every detail. The plan was risky, dangerous, possibly insane. It was perfect. Meanwhile, on the Velthan homeworld, High Commander Rothic received reports of the approaching human fleet. He sat in his throne room, surrounded by advisors and generals, and laughed until his forearms shook. 300 ships. He sat between laughs. They bring 300 ships against us? Do they wish to die so badly? His generals laughed with him. This was going to be easy. This was going to be fun. Destroy them all, Rothic ordered. Leave no survivors. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who challenge the Velthan Empire. What about the human prisoners, High Commander? One general asked. Should we move them? Rothic waved a hand dismissively. Why bother? The humans will be dead before they get anywhere near our prison stations. Keep the prisoners where they are. After we destroy their fleet, we will send videos of their suffering back to Earth. Let the humans see that resistance is useless. The generals bowed and left to prepare their fleet. Rothic leaned back in his throne, feeling satisfied. He had ruled the Empire for 200 years. He had crushed dozens of rebellions. He had conquered countless worlds. These humans were nothing special. They were just another small species that needed to learn their place. He had no idea how wrong he was. On the edge of Velthan space, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Stars appeared around them, steady and bright. Ahead, they could see the Velthan border station, a massive structure bristling with weapons. And beyond that, waiting in perfect formation, was the Velthan fleet. 2,000 ships, each one larger and more powerful than any human vessel. They filled the darkness like a wall of steel and death. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Commander Yuna looked at the enemy fleet without fear. They are in standard formation, she observed. Just as we expected. They are not worried about us at all, said her tactical officer, a woman named Yunji. They have not even raised their shields. Good. That is exactly what we want. Yuna pressed a button on her chair. All ships, begin Phase 1. The human fleet did something strange. Instead of advancing in formation to meet the Velthans, they scattered. Ships flew off in all directions, breaking apart into small groups of 5 or 6. The Velthan commanders watched with confusion. What are they doing? One commander asked. Perhaps they are running away, another suggested. No, said a third, frowning. They are moving too purposefully. They have a plan. But before they could figure out what the plan was, the human ships attacked. Not the main fleet. Instead, they targeted the supply stations and communication relays around the Velthan fleet. Small, fast human ships darted in, fired their weapons, and darted out before the Velthans could respond. Explosions lit up the darkness. One supply station exploded. Then another. Communication relays went dark one by one. They are trying to cut us off. A Velthan commander shouted. Stop them. Velthan ships broke formation to chase the human attackers. But the humans were fast and clever. Every time a Velthan ship got close, the human ship would disappear into hyperspace, only to appear somewhere else moments later. It was like trying to catch smoke with bare hands. Captain Dohyun led one of the attack groups. His ship, the Iron Will, was not the biggest or strongest in the fleet, but it was fast and his crew was skilled. Target the communication relay ahead, Dohyun ordered. Fire everything we have. Missiles streaked through space. The relay exploded in a ball of fire. Enemy ships approaching from behind. Ye-Yuk warned. Jump to coordinates Beta 7. Dohyun commanded. The ship vanished into hyperspace just as Velthan weapons fire passed through the space where it had been. They reappeared near another target, fired, jumped again, appeared somewhere else, fired again. The Velthan fleet was falling into chaos. Ships were chasing humans in every direction. Their perfect formation had broken apart. Commanders were shouting at each other over communication channels, trying to coordinate. But the humans had destroyed half their relays, and through all the chaos, Commander Yuna watched and waited. "Phase 2, she said calmly. "All ships, regroup." The scattered human ships suddenly stopped running. They came together, reforming into a single tight formation. But not just any formation. They arranged themselves into a shape the Velthans had never seen before, thought it was called the Spear. It was an ancient human battle formation, updated for space combat. Ships at the front were heavily armored, designed to take damage. Ships behind them carried the heaviest weapons. Ships on the sides were fast and agile, ready to protect the flanks. The humans charged directly at the center of the confused Velthan fleet. "They are attacking head-on?" A Velthan commander said in disbelief. "Are they insane?" "All ships, focus fire on the human formation," another commander ordered, but the Velthan fleet was still scattered from chasing the humans. Only a few hundred ships were in position to respond. The rest were too far away. The spear hit the Velthan center like a hammer. Human ships fired everything they had. Missiles, energy beams, and projectiles poured into the enemy. The Velthans fired back, and human ships began to explode. But for every human ship destroyed, 2 or 3 Velthan ships fell. Captain Dalhoon's ship was at the front of the formation. Alarm screamed. His shields were failing. His hull was taking damage. "Keep pushing," he shouted. "We stop when we are dead or when they are." A Velthan warship exploded in front of him, torn apart by combined fire from 5 human ships. The humans punched through the Velthan center and kept going. They did not stop to fight. They did not try to hold position. They simply cut through the enemy fleet and emerged on the other side. The Velthans turned to chase them, but it was too late. The humans jumped into hyperspace and disappeared. When the Velthan commanders finally gathered to assess the damage, they could not believe what they found. They had lost 400 ships. The humans had lost 80. It was supposed to be an easy victory. Instead, it was disaster. "Find them," the fleet commander screamed. "Find them and destroy them." But the humans were already gone, deeper into Velthan space. And they had taken something important with them: the coordinates of every Velthan base and station in the sector. Downloaded from the communication relays they had attacked. The hunt had only begun. On the eternal dawn, Commander Yuna allowed herself a small smile. "Phase 3 begins tomorrow," she said. "Tonight, let the Velthans wonder where we will strike next. Let them fear." She looked out at the stars. "We are coming for our people. Nothing will stop us." And somewhere in the galaxy, the Galactic Council watched in shocked silence. The primitive humans had just defeated the Velthan fleet. The impossible had happened. Some representatives began to feel something they had never felt before when thinking about humans. They began to feel afraid. Commander Yuna sat alone in her office on the warship Eternal Dawn. The lights were dim. A single screen glowed in front of her, playing the same video over and over again. The video was from Nari 7. It was recorded by a security camera in the colony's main square. Yuna watched as Velthan soldiers marched through the streets. She watched as families were pulled from their homes. She watched as children screamed for their parents. She watched as old people were pushed to the ground. One moment in the video always made her stop breathing. A young mother held her baby tight against her chest. A Velthan soldier grabbed her arm and tried to take the child. The mother fought back. She kicked and screamed and refused to let go. The soldier hit her across the face with his weapon. She fell. Another soldier picked up the crying baby and carried it away. The mother reached out her hand toward her child, blood running down her face. Then the video ended. Yuna had watched this video 137 times. She knew because she had counted out. Her door opened, and Captain Do-hyun stepped inside. He was a tall man with short gray hair and tired eyes. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He had seen many terrible things. But even he looked shaken. "The fleet is ready," he said quietly. Yuna nodded but did not turn away from the screen. "How many ships?" "Every ship we have. 312 warships, plus transport ships, supply ships, and medical vessels." "It is not enough," Yuna said. "I know," Do-hyun replied. "The Velthans have thousands of ships, better weapons, better shields. On paper, we cannot win this war." Yuna finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but there was fire burning in them. "We will win," she said, "because we have something they do not have." "What is that?" "A reason to fight." Do-hyun sat down across from her. He understood what she meant. The Velthans fought because they wanted power. They wanted wealth. They wanted slaves. But humans? Humans were fighting for their families, for their children, for their people. History had shown again and again that soldiers who fought for money could be defeated. Soldiers who fought for land could be pushed back. But soldiers who fought for their loved ones, they were unstoppable. "The message we received," Do-hyun said carefully. "The one from the colony. Have you read all of it?" Yuna closed her eyes. "Yes." "Then you know what they are doing to our people." "Yes." The Velthans had not just taken the humans as workers. That would have been bad enough. But the reports that escaped through hidden channels told a darker story. The humans were being tested, studied. The Velthans wanted to know how much pain humans could take, how long humans could work without food, how humans reacted to different temperatures and pressures. They were treating humans like animals, like things to be used and thrown away. "My sister was on Nari 7, Do-hyun said quietly. Yuna looked at him with surprise. She had not known this. "Her name is Ji-won. She is a teacher. She went to the colony 5 years ago because she wanted to teach children about Earth, about our history, about our stories." His voice broke slightly. "She sent me a message every week." Then the messages stopped. Yuna reached across the table and put her hand on his. "We will get her back," she said. "We will get them all back." Do nodded. He believed her. He had to believe her. On the other side of the ship, in a large meeting room, Admiral Timon stood before a group of soldiers. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were the best of the best. Special forces. They had trained for years for missions that seemed impossible. Among them was a young woman named Hana. She was small and thin, but her eyes were sharp like a knife. She had joined the military at 18 and had completed more dangerous missions than soldiers twice her age. Next to her sat Minho, a large man with thick arms and a gentle face. He looked like he should be a farmer, not a soldier. But looks could be deceiving. Minho was one of the deadliest fighters Earth ever produced. "You all know why you are here," Timon said. "When our fleet reaches Velthan space, we will need special teams to complete specific missions, rescue operations, information gathering, and..." He paused. "Other tasks." Everyone knew what he meant by other tasks. "The Velthans think they know us," Timon continued. "They have read our history. They know about our wars, our violence, our cruelty to each other." He smiled grimly. "But they made a mistake. They thought this made us weak, divided. They thought we would never come together." He walked slowly in front of the soldiers. "They were wrong. Everything dark in human history Every terrible thing we have done to each other, it taught us something. It taught us how to fight, how to survive, how to never ever give up. Hannah listened carefully. She had her own reasons for being here. Her best friend from school, Soman, had moved to Nari 7 2 years ago. Soman had sent her pictures of the beautiful alien sunsets, of the strange plants, of the new life she was building. Then the pictures stopped coming. "When do we leave?" Hannah asked. "Tomorrow," Tim said. "The fleet departs at dawn." Back on Earth, news of the war spread quickly. At first, some people were afraid. The Velthans were powerful. Their empire was vast. How could humans possibly fight against them? But then the videos from Nari 7 leaked onto the public networks. Everyone saw what the Velthans had done. Everyone saw the families being torn apart. Everyone saw the children being taken. Fear turned to anger. Anger turned to rage. People who had never agreed on anything before suddenly agreed on one thing. The humans on Nari 7 had to be saved. Young men and women lined up at military offices, wanting to join the fight. Factories that made civilian products switched to making weapons and ships. Scientists who had competed against each other began working together to develop new technology. The entire planet united. For the first time in human history, there were no more countries, no more borders, no more divisions. There was only Earth. There was only humanity. An old general named Sunwoo watched the news reports from his home. He had retired years ago, tired of war, tired of death. He had thought he would never fight again. But when he saw those videos, something woke up inside him. Something old and fierce. He put on his uniform one more time. He walked to the nearest military base. The young soldiers there did not recognize him at first. Then someone looked up his name and found out who he was. General Sunwoo. The man who had ended 3 wars. The man who had never lost a battle. The man they called the Storm. "I heard you needed soldiers," Sunwoo said the next day. He was given command of the ground forces on the ship Eternal Dawn. Commander Yuna stood on the bridge as the fleet prepared to leave Earth's orbit. 312 ships floated in the darkness of space, their lights glowing like stars. It was not enough to defeat the Velthans in a fair fight. Yuna knew this. Everyone knew this. But humans did not fight fair. They never had. They never would. "Send a message to all ships," Yuna said. Her communication officer nodded. "Channel open, Commander." Yuna spoke, and her voice reached every human in the fleet. "Today we go to war. Not for land. Not for power. Not for glory. We go to war because our people were taken. Because our families are suffering. Because someone thought they could hurt us without consequence." She paused and looked out at the stars. The Velthans have ruled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years. They have never lost a war. They have never met an enemy they could not crush. She smiled. They have never met humans. Not really? Today, they will learn what that means. Today, they will learn that when you hurt a human's family, you wake up something ancient and terrible. Something that does not stop. Something that does not forgive. She raised her hand. "All ships, set course for Velthan space. We are going to bring our people home." The fleet moved as one. Engines roared to life. Ships jumped into faster-than-light travel, disappearing in flashes of light. The hunt had begun, and somewhere in Velthan space, in a cold, dark prison, 3,000 humans waited. They did not know that help was coming. They only knew fear and pain and loneliness, but help was coming. Earth had heard their cries. And Earth was very, very angry. Admiral Tamon walked slowly through the long white hallway of the Galactic Council building. His boots made soft sounds on the polished floor. Behind him walked 2 officers, both silent and serious. They wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's Space Navy, and their faces showed no emotion. The hallway was full of aliens from many different worlds. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had bodies that looked like nothing Teeman had ever seen before. They all stopped to look at the humans. Most of them smiled or made sounds that meant they were amused. Humans were new to the galaxy. Humans were small. Humans were weak. That is what everyone believed. Tamin did not care about their stares. He had one purpose today, and nothing would stop him. The doors to the grand chamber opened, and Teeman stepped inside. The room was massive. It was shaped like a circle, with seats rising up on all sides like a stadium. Representatives from over 500 species sat in those seats, watching him. In the center of the room was a raised platform where speakers could address the council. Teeman walked to the platform and stood there. He looked around the room slowly. His eyes were calm but cold. At the highest seats sat the Velphin delegation. The Velphins were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. They had ruled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years. They were powerful, wealthy, and proud. Their leader, High Commander Rothic, looked down at Teeman with what appeared to be boredom. "You may speak, human," said the council speaker, a creature made of floating lights. Teeman nodded once. He did not bow. He did not show respect. This surprised many in the room. 3 weeks ago, Teeman began, his voice clear and strong. A human colony on the planet we call Narration was attacked. 3,000 humans lived there. Farmers, teachers, children, families who wanted nothing but a peaceful life. He paused and let his words settle in the room. Velphin warships came without warning. They surrounded the colony. They took every single human, every man, every woman, every child. They took them all. Murmurs spread through the council. Some species looked at the Velphins. Some looked away, but no one looked surprised. Everyone knew the Velphins did whatever they wanted. No one stopped them. High Commander Rothic leaned forward slightly. The creatures you call colonists were living on a planet within Velphin space. They were taken as workers. This is our right under the old laws. Workers? Teeman's voice did not rise, but something in it made the room go quiet. "You mean slaves. Call it what you wish," Rothic said with a wave of one of his 4 hands. "Your people are weak. They are useful for labor. This is the natural order. The strong take from the weak. This is how the galaxy has always worked." Several alien species nodded in agreement. This was true. This was how things were done. Small species served larger species. It was simply the way of the universe. Teeman stood perfectly still. His officers behind him did not move either. "I am here to give you a choice," Teeman said. "Return our people within 10 standard days. Every single one of them, unharmed." Laughter erupted from the Velphin delegation. Rothic's mouth opened wide in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Or what, little human?" Rothic asked. "What will you do? Your species has barely learned to travel between stars. You have a handful of ships. We have thousands. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Return our people," Teeman repeated. "This is not a request. This is a warning." More laughter filled the chamber. Even species that were not allies of the Velphins found this amusing. A human threatening the most powerful empire in the quadrant? It was like watching a small insect challenge a giant. "Go home, human," Rothic said, waving his hand dismissively. "Go back to your little blue planet. Be thankful we do not come and take the rest of you." Teeman did not move. He did not blink. He simply stared at Rothic for a long moment. "I want everyone in this room to remember this moment," Teeman said quietly. His voice was soft now, but somehow it carried to every corner of the massive chamber. "I want you to remember that we came here peacefully. We asked politely. We gave you a chance. He turned and looked at the representatives from other worlds. I want you all to remember that the Veltans chose this path. Whatever comes next, they chose it. Threats? Rothic laughed again. From a species that has existed in space for less than 200 years? Do you know how old my empire is, human? We were building warships when your ancestors were living in caves. Timin finally smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something that others did not. Age does not equal strength, Timin said. And you have made a terrible mistake. What mistake? Rothic asked, still amused. You touched our people, Timin said simply. You took our families, our children. He paused. Humans are strange creatures. We fight among ourselves all the time. We argue, we disagree. We are divided in many ways. He took one step forward. But when someone from outside hurts our people, when someone takes our children, he shook his head slowly. Then we become one. Then we become something you have never seen before. Pretty words, Rothic said. But words cannot stop warships. 10 days, Timin said. Return our people. This is your final chance. He turned and began walking toward the exit. His officers followed. Human, Rothic called out. If you send ships into our space, we will destroy them. If you try to fight us, we will end your species. This is my promise. Timin stopped at the door. He looked back over his shoulder. You know nothing about humans, he said quietly. But you will learn. Then he walked out. The doors closed behind him. The council chamber was quiet for a moment. Then laughter started again. The Velfans joked among themselves about the foolish human and his empty threats. Other species joined in. It was the funniest thing they had seen in years. Only a few representatives did not laugh. They were the ones who had studied humans. They were the ones who had read about human history, about their wars, about their persistence, about what they did to those who hurt their own. These few representatives looked, worried, but no one listened to them. 10 days passed. The Velfans did not return the humans. They sent back a single message to Earth. Come and try to take them. They had no idea what they had just done. On Earth, in a room deep underground, Admiral Taman stood before a table of military leaders. Commander Yuna sat to his right. Captain Dohyun sat to his left. Generals and admirals filled every other seat. They refused, Taman said simply. The room was silent. Then we go to war, Commander Yuna said. Her voice was steady and cold. Everyone in the room nodded. There was no debate, no discussion, no hesitation. The humans had given a warning. The warning was ignored. Now the galaxy would learn why that was a mistake.